flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sunshine Law. Adequate notice of this meeting is given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by mailing the schedule of this meeting of the Township Committee to the Express Times and North Star Ledger newspaper, filing a copy on the Township Bulletin Board, and filing a copy of the Township Clerk.
Okay, first topic is the approval of Township minutes from October 27, 2011. So could I have a motion for approval?
I have one question on that.
Okay.
That was, it's not here. On item 2, file and receive all reports, yeah. You don't have a lane on there at all. I know she was here.
Oh, I missed her. Okay.
My,
Well, I think she'd said she.
I can't
she
recall
said
whether
no.
she said no or whether she abstained.
She
always votes no.
on reports.
On the
Votes
bill,
no
on the
on
bill list,
bills.
she votes no.
Yeah.
I don't remember on that one.
I'll go back and double check it. I'll check my notes and then I'll put it in. And I'll add that.
Other than that, correcting that, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Garnier?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes. Need a motion to receive and file monthly reports for tax collector, court, CFO, police, and sewer.
A motion. Second.
Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Garnier?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes. Need a motion to receive and charge various accounts and pay monthly bills.
A motion.
Second?
Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Garnier?
Yes.
Siegel. Yes. Okay, need a motion to open up for public comment.
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Anyone wishing to make public comment, please come forward and state your name and address.
I'm Tom Flurry, 1713 Washington Valley Drive. Just a request to the current committee. Given the fact there are many large issues before the committee at this time, I would like to request that I, along with Committeeman-elect Joe Torriello, be included in future discussions regarding issues such as budget, litigation, and personnel issues, so that we may become more informed, so we can hit the ground running on January 1st. So I thank you for your consideration if you do that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to make public comment?
There's anything on the...
Sure, could you?
Tom Prospect, 419 Daniel Drive. Recently, well, today actually, they put no stopping, no standing signs on Greenwich, and I'm just curious why this one had to be put like almost right in front of my house. Why it couldn't be down the street just a little bit.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know why they're putting up the signs, right?
Yeah, I do. But
Okay.
I'm just curious why this one has to be right there. Why I have to look at my front door and see that sign.
I'll let Mike answer that one.
Can it be moved, Mike?
Can that be moved down the street?
Well, I'll answer your question, then I'll give you the explanation. What's down the street? Like 25 feet or like way down the street?
Yeah, 25, 30 feet down.
Oh, well, that's a possibility.
That's all I'm asking.
Of some
This
flexibility.
is like right in my view. And I love the way they painted up my sidewalk and they put the big word sign on the street, because they didn't know where to put the sign. They had to, write it in, big graffiti outline here. And I just think that was a little bit overboard, and I'm just asking if that sign can get moved down the street. I'm not looking for 100 yards down, I'm just looking for it to be when I look out my front door, I don't want to see that sign out there. I moved into this country community to not be looking at signs. I want to look at signs, I'll move in the city someplace and look at all that stuff.
So Mike, you're saying there's, sure.
I'll let it, yeah. The ordinance was adopted, as I suspect you're aware, to regulate the parent vehicles that park, drop their
I
kids off. Okay.
understand why
All
it
right.
was done.
And it became a little bit of a hazard. So, with really a lot of input from Chief Guzzo, Township adopted the ordinance. We were asked, as the engineers, to draw up a little sketch as to the locations of these signs.
Right.
There's a book called, I refer to it as the MUTCD, what that stands for is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. That is, in essence, the Bible relative to sign types, sizes, height, offset from the curb, and location. So it's not random where these signs get installed,
Right.
unfortunately. Now, but there is some degree of flexibility.
Right.
It's not that there's like a foot each way kind of
Right,
thing.
I understand that.
So,
And,
so
you know,
hence,
I did call up the road department last Friday.
when you
and
saw the mark
When I
on it,
saw the markings, and I said, is there any way this can be moved before it's installed? And he said, well, you know, when I go to put the signs, if this isn't set in stone, I can probably move it down the road a little bit. And like my wife said, well, we knew what was gonna happen, they're gonna put it right where the mark was, and they're gonna walk away.
well, it could be moved, I'm sure.
So you'll check into it?
But if I understand what you're asking for, I mean, you have residences all along there, so you really are sort of asking for it to be in front of someone else's house
Well,
instead of yours?
More closer to the property, the
Property
line
between the lines.
Between the property line?
So it's not in front of your house?
How-
Yeah.
How, I didn't bring the map, I didn't bring that file.
There's areas there where there's trees blocking between the houses where a sign could easily be put if it really has to be there. I mean, there aren't really any trees in that area, and there's a sign right smack in the middle of the yard. And nobody even parks down that far when they pick their kids up. That's the other
Tom
thing.
Prostack,
Okay, how do you spell your last name?
P-R-O-S-T-A-K.
S-C-A-K, okay. And what's your phone number?
900-59-531.
Okay, so what we'll do is Mike will check into it and we'll see what we can do about getting it
And
moved
you have his
forward.
address?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say,
419
what is your, what is your,
Daniel Drive,
419 Daniel Drive.
you know, you're blocking lot by any chance? That would be a lot more helpful for me, but that's okay. Okay. Sharon,
I don't know it, but
No, I said
call me.
tomorrow.
yeah, we can call her, it's okay, thank
Like
you.
clarification
Okay.
on
On
why it's there. Do I need to go up?
Well, you
Before,
can.
is it safe to assume that before we talk to the DPW and tell them to move it, that we should obviously talk to Mr. and Mrs. Prostack and tell them what their options are, kind of thing?
Yeah, I
to-
think so.
Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. I need the phone number.
You're gonna ask why on the sign?
Yeah, I actually was hoping to get some clarification as to why the signs have gone up there. I'm a little concerned with what no stopping and standing actually means. It just simply means that people can stop for 3 minutes, pick their kids up, and go, according to the New Jersey ordinance. So my question is, how is that really helping the situation that's going on down there? It's going to cause parents to just loop around until they see their child. And now you've got all these moving cars, and someone's going to get hit by a car. Honestly, I'm not sure it was the best laid plan. I'm really concerned that people are going to figure out a way around it, and it's going to be a very difficult rule to enforce. You're going to need police officers there saying, move it on, your 3 minutes is up. And little Joey's crossing the street. I can't go yet. Well, no, you've got to move it. So how are you going to enforce this rule? That's what's scaring me.
Personally, I'm not aware of the 3 minutes part of it.
I believe it's the state law. I mean, we were looking it up. There's a rule that no stopping and standing for loading and unloading.
I'm sure the
You can
police
stop.
chief can tell you what the definition is of stopping. The reason you say stopping or standing is because people will keep their
Keep their engine running and stay in the
engine on
car.
and sit in the car and say, I'm not parked, you know. So stopping or standing is I guess the most you can have in terms of prohibition.
I mean, I honestly have no idea whether you're correct or not about the 3 minutes part. I'll sort of take your word, but please don't tell anybody.
All right, I don't know. Did you print out of what that was?
Because I mean, the reason is,
I'll show you what we found on it, if you'd like.
well,
Do you know the rationale why we put the signs up to begin with?
That's what I was kind of wondering why that
again,
was.
like I said, for now, I'll take your word, we'll look into it or
Okay.
whatever, but
The rationale is that the police chief had, on a regular basis, has a meeting with the bus drivers and the crossing guards and so forth
Right.
regarding the safety of children. And this issue came up that the bus drivers were very upset that they were afraid that there's going to be a child run over as a result of all the cars parked waiting to pick up the children.
and because of where they were parked, it was causing children to cross, not where the crossing guards, but other places, and then also to come out between cars, okay, which is a dangerous situation. So the rationale on this, and then the other thing was that in some cases, with parking on both sides of the street as occurred, the buses weren't able to make the turn.
Wouldn't it have been better to let the school know about this particular situation
The
going
school
on?
was
we did.
involved.
So that we could, the school was involved?
Well,
Yeah, the school's
no,
involved.
we went to the school after the
Because they were
meeting.
surprised about the sign from what I understood.
I'm not sure who you spoke with there, but the school was involved with the whole
they-
process.
So
No?
they-
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we contacted
Could be wrong, I'll take your word for
the
that.
superintendent, that they went, we had information from the chief and from the crossing guards. We went back to the school with that information to ask them to confirm that, and they did, and that's when we went forward with the ordinance.
So my only thing is I'm concerned that people are gonna work their way around that. If the rule is what we looked up and saw, if they can still park there, they can still stop there, they just can't stay there for any length of time. And that's gonna cause traffic to be moving
The
more
the
often.
goal is that they shouldn't be there at all. That's what
The
we're trying to
statute that you're quoting here is
Is that one?
39:4-139, which talks about loading or unloading passengers or materials in the vicinity, let's see, adjacent to the entrance of a school, church, theater, hotel, hospital, or other place of public assemblage. I'm not sure how that interacts with our ordinance. I suspect
It was
it's-
attached,
it's-
it was attached to something that was talking about no stopping and standing signs.
yeah,
That was the ordinance that was attached to that, so I was
These
thinking that was
ordinances
what
can be
it was.
very confusing.
I would think so, but
and,
it sounded difficult.
I think that most people
Misleading.
seeing that sign would take it to mean they can't be there.
Right.
during the
How-
day.
That's what they should do.
That's what no parking, I thought, meant.
No, the problem, and we had some discussion about that, the reason for it is that if it says no parking, people often feel okay to sit there in their car with their engine running, because I'm not parked, I'm just waiting, okay? So that's why we did no stopping or standing instead of no parking.
How are you gonna handle the situation on that street when school is out and people have family visiting and they need a place to park? Or the lawn mowing company has to park someplace there to mow in front of a house, and maybe there isn't school in session at that time. For example, Thursday and Friday coming up, an entire Christmas week, an entire break over
I thought
Easter.
we
How
were
is
going
all
to
that
park on the
going to
other
be
side of the
handled?
street.
You-
I think
you
you
can.
can park on the other side of the street.
So
Yeah, it's only
all
one
the
side,
people
right.
on the side of the street we're on need to tell their family to park across the street in front of their house. Is that,
If they're gonna be-
seriously, if there's no reason for that, why are we doing that?
Well, if they're gonna be there, the cars would be parked on a school day during those hours that are established on the signs, then I hate to put it that way, but that's what they should tell.
And then you also have the problem of what you're doing on half
No, it's
days
not supposed to
and
say no.
snow delayed openings. That's not on your signs.
Well,
I feel like all of this happened too quickly. I feel like no real input was gotten from the people in the town. I mean, suddenly everybody just saw a sign painted on their.
In order to pass an ordinance, we have to talk about it during 2 successive township meetings. So it was here, and there was a public hearing date for it.
Was anybody here? Did anybody even know about it? You're really not getting it out to the community if no one's here. You can say that you're telling people it's here, yeah, you can say that, but I mean, you can tell, you can say, yes, we sufficiently told people, but if you don't have people here, you're really not doing that job. I have to be honest with you. I mean, you really have to get it out there that this is what's
Well,
happening.
the township
and what
meetings
you're
are every
doing.
third Thursday of the month. This is an exception because of the, you know, the holiday and things like that, but usually it's the third Thursday of every month. So if you know, want to participate, that's the, and it's advertised.
I guess what I'm saying is,
Express
as our
times.
representatives, we would hope that you'd be kind of watching our back a little bit and not sticking signs up in the middle of our front yards.
Actually,
And
I
not
think
really
we're watching
thinking it
the
through.
back of a lot of people with children.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
concerned about their safety. and
I am
that's-
concerned about their safety too, as a teacher in that
So-
school district. I'm actually very worried about the fact that cars are going to be moving too much. That's kind of what I'm really worried about, and that people are not going to know what that sign means, because we're confused about what it means ourselves.
Okay, well, thank
Whether
you.
it means no parking or whether
79
it
and
means,
2 to 4.
as a matter of fact, I think the committee is confused about what it means. Because you were kind of, I don't know.
Well, we
I don't
know
think
what our
have a full
intent was,
definition.
and we wanted to
Yes.
improve the safety for the children,
Yeah.
because it was input from the bus drivers, the crossing guards, the police chief, and the school was involved.
Yeah.
So the superintendent was involved, and I'm not sure who she involved in the meetings that we had, but the school was definitely involved.
Well, they certainly talked about it in their school board meeting, because I think Dan was at that meeting. That was one.
Yes, they spoke with it too,
Yeah,
there was one
so-
day.
It's too bad Rich isn't here, it would have been helpful to get
Well, I
his.
spoke with him earlier, I didn't realize he
Well,
needed to be here.
right.
Yeah, he asked if he should be here, and I didn't realize that, and I told him.
Excuse me.
But anything you can do to
Yes,
kind
sir.
of look into it, just to make sure that what you're doing there is going to work, and if that sign could just move a little bit, it would be great.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right, thank you.
Well, let me ask this question then, what, can we talk now?
Sure.
Public comment. Then, what can we do, because you do bring up a good point about trying to get some of the information out to the township residents. How do we get this information out to the township residents when we have something like this coming up?
Well, the best thing is to put it on your website. Then everybody just goes to the website and they have, you know, whatever the document is. But you'll recall at the last meeting, I said this was kind of a haste makes waste thing, because we've had to introduce an amendment to clarify the ordinance at the request of the chief, I guess, which you're considering tonight later on in the meeting. So, I mean, Mrs. Prostak has a valid point. Sometimes in your zeal to, you know, do something that's for the safety of the children, sometimes it's haste makes
I
waste.
personally
Yeah.
don't consider it zeal. I think it was a good thing to do. And in terms of the other ramifications, we have the crossing guards and the police to continue to monitor that, and if something needs to be done, you know, then we'll certainly do something, you know.
I'm not saying it wasn't a good thing to do. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, you know, it was kind of like,
Yeah, no, we were in a rush because
It was
a
quick.
hazardous situation was identified, and it takes 2 meetings, okay, to resolve that situation. And if we didn't get going on it right away, then that hazardous situation would exist for that much longer. That's why we did it. And I'm
I'd like to
perfectly
make a
comfortable with that.
suggestion. Mr. Perez, you made a point about what could the committee do. The school district has a phone system set up where they let people, they call the homes, they send one message out to everyone telling them something that's very important coming up. It might be as early as school closing, it may be something important
CAN
coming up.
system.
What?
Your CAN system, is that what you're
I'm
talking
not
about?
Well,
sure
they
what
have
the
the backpack
system's
system,
called.
yeah,
It's the
so-
yeah, it's everybody's phone numbers are in this one thing. It would be probably a great thing if something important like that's coming up, not just necessarily say, hey, there's a township meeting coming up, but maybe this is what's going to be discussed if there's something you think is really important, which I would think that you would probably want some input, or at least for people to know what you were doing over there in Wyndham Farms before it all happened. And a phone system like that, I could really benefit a lot of people. It's going to be on their, they don't have to answer the phone, it's just a message on their answering machine, and they'll be there. They believe that what it is going on is important and affects them or people in their community.
Well, maybe we could do that and put it on the township website so that we capture more than just, you know, parents of school children and things like
yeah,
that.
most,
Right.
a lot of towns put all pending ordinances on the website. In addition to the legal publication, which you're required to do according to law, it's gotta go into the official newspaper. But, you know, sometimes people don't see it in the paper but they might see it on the website.
Well, the minutes are on the website, aren't they? But I mean, I know that it gets delayed, it doesn't get on there for a while, but they are on there.
Yeah, the minutes.
Yeah, and that sometimes gets lost in the, because the minutes can be kind of voluminous, and you might not pick up on it.
There's a lot
People
of
go to the
paper
website.
thrown at
Yeah.
people throughout, their days and weeks, and they try to keep up with all of it, but it's hard to. It's hard to.
All right, we hear you. Thank you.
Just to throw an extra point in.
You want to come up with the microphone?
You don't have special dispensation because you have a camera.
If you hadn't noticed, we are videotaping every one of these meetings, and it's being put in the Greenwich Gazette every month. Everybody can see it. If you want to see how they came to this decision, just go to greenwichlivvideo.com. You can see the whole meeting, and you can see exactly how they came to the decision. And every month, it's going to be there, so people will be able to get to see that, and hopefully more people will, go to that website, and people will get informed. And what I'll do is I'll try to highlight some of the important things that happen at the meetings.
Yeah, Angelo's volunteering his time to record the meetings and then put it up on the website for people to see that aren't able to attend, and for those that do attend want to, have a.
And we've got going back to July.
And that's great, but we do need to make sure that we're getting the message out to the people before it's happening.
Well, yeah, and with that, you would see it because of the ordinance and the readings, so, okay.
And they announce what they're going to be doing at future meetings there, so you'll be able to see, what's happening at a future meeting, so.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Angela.
I think one of the things we can do also is that when we meet the Board of Ed next time, we could talk to them also, because I think it's incumbent on them also to reach out to the community to let them know that something, because we did work this with the Board of Ed. We didn't just do this on our own. We sat with them, we spoke with them, we told them what was going to happen. We got their input also. This just wasn't a decision that we made on our own. So I think it's incumbent on them also to try to reach out to the community and let them know that, hey, something like this is going to happen. It may impact you the way you were impacted, and what may come down the line. These things that, obviously we didn't think of, because our concern at that time was the safety of the children. And not just them, but but the residents also, because you may have a parent running across the street, something like that, and then get hit by one of the buses and forget about it. So, so I think it's something that we need to work in conjunction with the Board of Education also. So the next time we have a meeting with them, we will bring that up to them and try to get that, where we work in unison and try to get the word out there. Because the more people the more organizations trying to get the word out, the better it will be, and more sure that you will get the word.
Anyone else wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, need a motion to close?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to Grace, I just wanted to respond to Mr. Clarey, who made a request for for himself and the newly elected committeeman, Joe Torriello. You must have been reading our minds, because we do have a budget. We're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to have a budget meeting next Wednesday, November 30th, at either 7 or 7:30, probably 7 we would start. And we would definitely like you to join us for that meeting. That would be great.
An executive session also?
Well, there's two pieces. We're having a budget workshop that's open to the public, obviously. And then there's an executive session. We plan to go into executive session. We have the labor attorney that's going to join us, and would like the two of you to join us, because I think it's very important that you participate in that and hear what's going on.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, first of all, I think it's a good idea, and I would like them to be there. I know the question came up do we have a problem with that, Peter, at all, with two unelected people
I don't think
being
there's
in an executive session?
Yeah, I don't think there's a prohibition on you taking
By
elected
invitation.
to an executive session, by invitation, yeah, under the circumstances, yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Grace.
Before I go into my report section, I have
You want to move the mic over a little bit?
an announcement I'd like to make. This is a happy announcement. As some of you know, the committee knows, not the public, you aren't all aware yet, I would assume. I would like you all to congratulate Sharon Brown. She passed the Certified Tax Collector's exam on her first try, which is a phenomenal feat because there's a 28 to 30% pass ratio, and it's just something that she should be commended for. Sharon completed all 3 classes and the exam in 13 months. Most people take between 2 to 3 years to become a certified tax collector. At the request of the committee, she took all the classes, she did what she had to do, and I just think it's important that we acknowledge the accomplishments of the employees.
I absolutely agree. Thank you so much, Sharon. Besides that, all your hard work all year long, and
I was relieved.
oh my goodness. So thank you so much.
Next up, I have your first transfer resolution for 2011. It's in section 3, resolution number 2011-95. None of it is really surprising. State law says that as of November 1st, we're allowed to make transfers between appropriations. And simply, we have some that are running a little short, some that are running a little long, so we're moving some money around to make sure that we don't have any over expenditures. So that is what resolution 2011-95 is. And then the following 4 are all outside lien redemptions that Sharon and Kim have prepared the resolutions for those redemptions. And that's basically all I have.
Okay, so we need to do these one at a time, right?
Yes. I know the appropriation transfer requires a roll call. I don't know about the other 3.
Yeah, no, I think you could do the lien redemptions together.
Okay.
I think I would do the appropriation transfer separately.
Okay, so why don't we do that one first then? Resolution 2011-95, which is the appropriation transfer.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Erniak?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
Then the next would be a motion to adopt resolutions 2011-99, 96, 97, and 98, which are all outside lien redemptions.
Make the motion.
Second.
Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Erniak?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes. Okay, Grace, do you have anything else? Now, we have an agenda item here for Elaine. Kim?
This was sent from Dawn Marie Congress. It's under tab 9. And I think the majority of you received this from Dawn Marie. The Municipal Planning Incentive Grant application. This is for fiscal year 2013. It has to be sent to the county and also to SADC. The deadline for this is December 15th.
What is it, December 15th?
December 15th. And the December 15th township meeting is also scheduled that night. So it's due there December 15th. So
we need to
I
do it
pushed
tonight?
it to this meeting
Yeah.
to get this approved, and then I'll have you sign the grant agreement.
So what do we need exactly? Authorization of those
It's
to authorize me to sign it, or?
Yeah, I know. This grant agreement is in connection with the Fox River acquisition. The grant amount is $315,521.60, and I believe
in the back here that about the payee is one county treasurer.
yeah, it's probably going through the county because the county is contributing their share also. So I guess what is needed, I presume Elaine had this on the agenda because she wants it approved tonight. So,
So what do we need exactly, Peter? Is it just a motion?
yeah, I'm
or
just
vote?
looking here.
There's a grant on the second page.
Just a motion to have the mayor sign.
Yeah, I think it's a
Sign the
motion.
grant agreement.
Yeah, that's fine.
Motion to approve the grant agreement and to authorize
Page 2
the
of 3.
mayor to sign saying.
Peter, excuse me, where does it say what our share of this purchase is?
We have your share.
We have no share in this purchase?
I'm sure we do.
We're not contributing anything?
No, our share is typically 15%.
Yeah.
And the county portion is typically 15%.
So do we have that in the open space budget?
This is,
Yeah.
Yes.
What I'm suggesting is that the resolution also has to include our
Okay.
share and our funding.
Well, they may not need that yet. This is, I think, we've got an application to
Here it is.
submit. Oh, this is actually the agreement.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah,
it
this
would
isn't
mean,
the application, this
Okay.
is the final agreement.
It's showing, what page is this?
it's section G.
Section G.
so maybe we need to do this on the 30th. If it's not complete in what we,
No, I would
It is complete.
rather have you approve it tonight, maybe subject to Elaine's confirmation, because
Yes, she knows
I would
that.
hate to see,
what about the piece
SPB.
what about the piece that Grace is talking about? The
Total estimated municipal funding is $3,386,456.
No.
We do a resolution, actually, we've done an ordinance, haven't we, with every purchase that authorizes the purchase
This is
and the
for-
township's share from the open space trust.
Yeah, we
I don't know
would,
if we can sign an agreement if we
We-
haven't put our funding in place.
It says right here, read this part.
well, this is under our municipal planning incentive grant. The grant is subject to the grantee, that's us, acquisition of a development easement on the projects described in Schedule A pursuant to the Agriculture Retention and Development Act. Let me just take a look at the memo.
So do we want to come back to this? We'll move on to the next agenda item and then come back to it, Peter, while you're reviewing it?
Okay.
Okay? All right. Okay, Dan.
Oh, okay, Environmental Commission, we'll have the Christmas tree recycling again this year. Forget the dates, Nico, what dates we on, January 9th and 10th or something like that?
No.
The 7th and the 14th, that's right.
January?
Of January, yes.
14th.
Put advertisements in the Greenwich Gazette and on the Township website also. We're not gonna put it in the treasure hunt because we have some concern that if we put it in there, we may be getting visitors from other towns coming in with their trees and stuff, so we decided to leave it out of the treasures, okay? Outside of that, that's pretty much everything with the Environmental Commission.
Hey, Dan, I have a question for you, and I know you haven't had a opportunity to talk to them, and I'm not sure who authorized it, but we put on the website about people who are responsible for their own branches and so on
Yes.
from the whatever, but I was wondering about whether we could get if we could set up a similar thing for people to bring in branches and get shipped.
I'm actually glad that you mentioned this because I've gotten a few calls from people. First of all, there's still a lot out at the curb, and we've decided that we weren't going to have the DPW pick that up. Is it possible if residents could get it to place?
Well, that's what I was wondering, if we had it brought in,
Are
like.
we gonna leave those branches there until the 7th or 14th?
No, that's
No,
not
no,
what I'm
no.
saying.
No,
Have
because-
the residents bring it to a designated spot.
The one thing is getting out the word. They'd have to do it at the designated spot, and the
No, we'd
idea.
have to
You
advertise
have
it.
two things, okay, so you'd have to advertise it, they have to bring it. The whole idea with the Christmas tree is we have the Environmental Commission volunteering their time to be here and to receive it, rather than having the DPW. And then, since it's already there, the DPW can ship it up and make pretty quick work of it. That's why the Christmas tree thing works so well. As compared to spending day after day driving around shipping it up, that's why we can't do that. So,
Just say they bring it here next week. Just say next week. Is it gonna be manned by somebody?
well, that's the thing, is
Well, we would have to make those
it's-
arrangements.
It would need to be manned by, and that's where possibly Environmental Commission volunteers,
Right.
okay, so that we don't just get things that we shouldn't get dropped off.
That's the concern.
Okay, that's the big issue, okay? And if that happened on a weekend or whatever day, it happened on, but presumably a weekend, because that's when commission members would be available, then, Monday, Tuesday, the DPW can ship it up.
I don't know, that'd have to be something that had to be discussed with the environmental commission. I can't speak for them to say,
Right,
yes,
no, I
we can do
understand.
this, and then, have no one there, you know what I'm saying?
No, right,
So,
that's-
so we would need to speak with the crew and then see how they feel about
But
it.
it'd almost have to be something that we'd say, like this Saturday, somebody be available, because the branches are kind of like out on the street, and they've been there for several weeks, and,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, we're gonna run
people are
into the
upset.
I mean, I've volunteered for the Christmas tree. I'd be happy to volunteer time to be there to help them do that.
And then we're
Could
gonna,
you do it this Saturday?
run into the outrage of the people that paid for private contractors to have their
Yeah.
trees.
But you know, I agree, but this goes back to, I mean, we can't keep everybody happy, but, as we said before, the reason, well, first of all, we thought we were doing a good thing the last storm.
Right.
And people put,
Right.
people that acted quickly and hired somebody were upset when the township went around to pick up the trees and chip them up. Now we have a situation where residents are expecting the DPW to pick it up. We said we're not going to do that because people took advantage, put all kinds of brush out to the street because they were cleaning up their yards. So a 3-day job becomes a 3-week job. We can't do that again. But yet, that's what I was thinking, because there are residents that are very upset that these branches are still there. And I know in Greenwich Chase, which I think was the area there most of the damage was, our HOA, I don't know if we've received the flyer yet or not, but we're going to send out a flyer saying that, the landscaper that handles the common areas would come and take care of it for a reduced rate. A lot of the residents, do not want to pay to have these trees.
Well, I spoke with the police chief, and we were gonna do a flyer and tell the people who still have their branches out on the sidewalk that they're in violation of township ordinance, and that they need to be removed. I mean, John and I fielded numerous calls from people this time, and they drug them out to the curb expecting us to come and get them.
Well, I asked residents to join us tonight at the meeting. Some said that they were not able to. This is the pushback that I'm getting. They're wondering what the DPW is doing. I explained what the DPW is doing. I explained the situation that occurred last time. They still feel that the taxpayer dollars should be cleaning up the branches.
Well, residents have to understand though too, and we're all residents here, every one of us.
That's
We all-
what I-
and
that's
we all
the way I
suffered,
was-
you know,
that's what I said.
I know I had some trees down in my backyard also, but, we have a 3-man crew. That's it, a 3-man crew, and they can only do so much. And they do quite a bit to begin with. So and
Well, and have a
if you
budget
stay-
in terms of their salaries and
Exactly,
overtime and so on.
and as you stated also, the last time we did this, people took advantage. And they killed it for this time around. Because I'm sure the guys would have been more than happy to go out and help out and everything else. But when you have people putting out something that you can see that's been dead for a year, and it's laying out in the front yard to be chipped, well, and there were a lot of homes where people did that, so people have to understand that we are limited in what we can do.
Right. Well, again, what I'm saying is, I don't think we can go around and pick it all up. I just don't think we have the time and the money to do that. The guys are working pretty full out.
Right, and I was not
as it
suggesting
is,
that.
So, and I agree that if we were, this other route I suggested, you'd have to have volunteers to do it, so you'd have to talk to the volunteer, to the environmental commission and see if that's a possibility. So, I mean.
All right, so if we did something like that, Bruce, first of all, where would we do it? How are we gonna do it?
Well,
Are you talking
I
about that?
think that would be a question for the DPW, but my guess is we could probably do it the same place we stack the Christmas trees.
Well, one of my concerns, and I'm not looking to insult anyone, but some of these guys are older, and wood is pretty heavy. So I can't see some of the guys that are on the environmental commission standing out there and lugging off these big limbs
Well,
and things
first of
like
all,
that.
I think when you do it, you have to put, and that's why you need people there, you have to have a spec that says, hey, it's only can be this big, because the fact is, our equipment can only handle certain size. We can't handle tree trunks. It's just too big for the equipment. But I don't think people are gonna load tree trunks in their cars and bring them down either.
Let me ask this question, and also, is there some that's that's worth renting to like a tree service where they may want to come around? Because some of these guys cut the wood up and sell it. So is that an option that we can have it there like that?
Tree services are making a lot of money. I mean, I paid to get a tree taken down and removed, and it was quite a bit of money. And I sent out a notice in my old development about, here's some options, and most people did it on their own. some people have it sitting out, I think I have 2 or 3 in my development that's got it sitting out there.
Not asking them to do any work. I'm saying have them there, and if they see like a limb that somebody brings in, says, hey, that's some good burning wood, I'm going to take it. It's
I think
less.
they have so much
Yeah,
now.
it may be. Yeah.
And you get a tree taken down, they charge you to take away that wood.
Mhm.
Because they didn't know what to
The
do.
garbage man called me. He saw all the limbs out there. He was gonna stop at those homes and for a very, very cheap fee, no more than $75, remove the branches for these people and take them. He was gonna stop and offer that to them instead of a tree company. They do hauling, and they would stop and get the branches, load them into a truck, and take them away.
Okay, I'm more than happy to call back the few residents that I spoke with personally.
I would just
say,
feel bad if we would institute this
I'll
for the
give
people
them
that
good
paid money.
Oh, yeah,
Since
absolutely.
we told them, no, we're not doing it, and now all of a sudden we're doing it.
That is the problem.
That's gonna be bad
I mean, I
for
can call
us.
back and say pretty much what I said already, that, for Greenwich Chase, Duke Landscaping will come through at a reduced price, and, they need
Well, and
to.
it's a safety issue now, and I spoke with the chief, and we're gonna enforce this. You can't have this out on the sidewalk, and
We
the
get
curb
snow, and
area.
then they're
The
gonna be
snow's gonna
plowing
be
the
coming, they're gonna
streets
be
and the
plowing,
things.
there's gonna be branches
Well,
out
it's
there.
going to add
These people are
insult to
homeowners.
injuries for those residents who feel that the township should be taking care of it, and then
Well,
we're going to send them a
They're
notice.
gonna, they're
Well,
gonna
I
have to be
think,
notified.
I
They're
think
a
they'll
homeowner.
probably get a flyer before they
Yeah.
get a ticket,
They're not gonna get a ticket, they're gonna get notice that they need to remove these branches.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unpopular thing, no matter what we do. It's absolutely a no-win situation,
Under the
but,
proper maintenance thing.
we obviously can't go around and take care of everybody's trees.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment on
Sure.
that, outside of public session? As long as I've been in this town, the rule has been, I lived up on Fox Run Road where my house was covered with trees, was if a storm happened and your branches fell into the street, over the curb line, the DPW would come by and clear the road. From the road to my house, I took care of. And that's what I was operating on as a member of Greenwich Chase, saying, hey, my tree fell in the street. I paid someone to pick it up because I just knew that, I don't know if that was a written rule. Is that a written rule or is that a unspoken?
That's the
Is
way
that an
we,
ordinance? Is that a?
well, that's the way we've always handled it. Certainly, the DPW takes care of it if it ends up in the road.
Right.
And we
Maybe to
may have
eliminate a
created
gray
some
area,
different
let's make an
expectations when
ordinance
we,
and say that's
after I
the
read.
rule.
Different municipalities have different policies, and I think they've all been struggling with this problem.
But I
since,
saw the shrubs that you're talking about. The guy cleared out his whole pool, and there were things out there that definitely didn't fall down in the storm, so I can understand the problem. It was bad.
All right, well, I just brought it up as a, if you want to pursue that as a possibility. I mean, it would not be a huge issue for the DPW to come in on a Monday or Tuesday morning and chip up a pile that's sitting there as compared to going all around
Have you
town.
spoken with the DPW though?
Reimbursement.
No, but yes, in the past, but not
Right.
specifically.
Okay. All right. Well, my son was out in our tree the other morning at 9 o'clock sawing off branches, so he climbed up and I'm like, what the heck are you doing?
The other thing too is to understand that this could be a huge undertaking for these guys. Talking to people in other townships where they thought they were doing the right thing, something similar to this, it turned into one big hell of a nightmare.
Yeah,
And,
Lopat have got big problems because they're doing
Yesterday,
it.
Sunday, their DPW was out all day, and they've been out every weekend and all during the week since October. They're still cleaning up branches.
Okay.
Can I just say something?
Angela? Yeah.
I actually did this about 2 weeks ago on a camping trip. I camp on property of one of the fellows who's a supervisor for the landscaping company that we work with. And we had a lot of trees there. It was a lot, but it was nothing compared to what we have on Greenwich Chase. Nothing compared to that. And we worked our asses off, and I was working with some young guys. There's no way, when he says monumental, that's an understatement as to what they're going to get if these people, and they're going to have to rent trucks to get that stuff over there.
Angela,
It's not like bringing a Christmas.
You're on the HOA board, obviously, we discussed this. I haven't seen the flyer on this yet that was supposed to go out to the Greenwich Chase residents, because that's where most of the issues are at this point. And it's all over.
If you got pear trees, it's all over.
Pear trees.
Yeah, I mean, it's big. I've seen a few of them, but you even said there's a couple hundred.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's,
The center of Kennedy.
Three
Hill,
guys?
all pear trees,
forget
and they were
it. We
all-
had 4 guys, and these guys were younger than me.
So
I
it sounds to
worked
me
for a
like
couple
I need to
hours and I
call
was
the
beat.
residents back and say, you need to have them removed.
This is your property, your private thing in the
Yeah.
town.
Okay,
Can
that's-
we
that's-
do we have a phone number to this company that was saying that they will come at a reduced rate?
Mhm, they're
You know,
one of our
maybe you can
recycling.
take that
Yeah,
number
I
down there
know.
and pass that
Yeah,
on to them.
I mean, he picks up everything.
Okay.
Tell them off.
Eleanor.
What is the name?
Eleanor.
Oh, Eleanor, that's right.
Yes, Eleanor. And he takes, and he called me and said, Kim, there's a lot of tree limbs over. Is the town picking them up? And I said, no. And he said, well, would it be okay if I got in touch with these residents that have the branches?
Do you remember what his name was?
Rob, I have his
Rob?
business card.
Oh, good, okay. So I'll get it from you. All right.
One other thing that's similar, but not the same, I just wanted to mention, I know it's not on there, is the, you know, after Irene, there was some utility work along South Main Street where they strung up some new lines. And I don't know if they were phone or power or whatever, but they removed a lot of tree stuff, which I thought they were gonna clean up, but they've left it there.
Right.
The power company's
Oh.
never
The
removed the
chief
trees.
is investigating that, and the chief is getting in touch with the company that did the cutting. That was contracted from that. It's down along South Main Street, because there's tree branches that, and limbs that are down in the creek that have come through and is flooding
Yeah,
those
and-
3
and-
houses before New Village Road.
And some of the stuff, it even ends up coming out on the road when it's windy or whatever, so it's a
So
real
the chief is
mess.
investigating this. The chief is on this. We'll come back and clean this up.
I had one other thing. Mike, I was at the convention down in Atlantic City, the municipality convention, and I had an opportunity to speak to a couple of companies, the speed bumps, and that, they took advantage of that, I saw those guys. And everyone, I spoke to three companies, and each and every one told me the same thing. There's not much we can do as far with the noise and all that, you know. I discussed the different options we had. He said, you know, we put a rubber bump out there, then you have the problems with plowing, with the, you know, the trucks. We put the best option they said that we had was putting the grids in. You know, he said they have certain grids that it's a low muffle, you know. He said that's really the best option that we have. It's just like going with these grids where cars will run over them and, you know.
They're rumble strips, whatever you like.
Yeah, that's what they describe them as grids, you know, so.
That's probably the more technical term.
Yeah, so.
So, well, I know last month, after the meeting, he asked me to send off those locations, which I did, but that's a month ago now or so. I actually happened to be speaking with Mayor Van Horn on a completely unrelated matter last week, right before the league, I think. And I got off the phone and I forgot to ask him, because 2 of them are in Knowlton. But there's no good, that's the problem. There's really no good solution.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have full-time enforcement or what, which is obviously impractical.
They've been out there pretty frequently, though.
Well, it's gonna help. That would certainly help.
I got one other question too. I just noticed that they put up an autistic sign on my block over here on South Main. Right? Now, are they supposed to put it both ways? Because what sense does it make just putting it one way?
The sign that says autistic child in area.
Oh, I
The
didn't.
county it's a county road.
I didn't even see that sign.
Is it a county sign?
It's a county sign. We
South
didn't
Main?
do
If it's a county road,
Coming in,
it's
yeah.
No, it's
it. We
coming
didn't do
in.
it, the county did. It's a
Yeah.
county road.
Yeah, it was county workers because I saw them.
I saw it.
I did.
That's a new one on me.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
It should be two-way, shouldn't it?
You know, you'd have to ask the county, are you familiar
would think
with
it should be
that
both ways.
kind of sign, Mike?
No. No. And.
Wouldn't the county
I
normally get
haven't
in touch
seen the
with you?
sign.
Mike, wouldn't they normally get in touch with you before they? No?
Not for something like that. It's their road, it's their right of way, they'll do what they.
So a resident would have called and requested that? or something?
Obviously, because the resident didn't call me. Kim, did you get a call from?
No, but I spoke with her. She told me that there was a sign going up.
Okay.
'Cause her
She
son-
must have called the county
Her son
directly.
comes up every day to look in the door.
And it's actually on the other
And
side of the
his
street from where he
reflection
lives.
In the door.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It's on the other side of the street from where he lives. So I
Oh,
would-
it's on the other
Yeah,
side. of the
Yeah,
street.
so I would think that they would have put it on the side of the street that he lives on.
I just assumed that when you were talking
Yeah.
about the other side.
No.
I saw the sign, but
I
I,
didn't see that. Okay. All right,
If I may suggest about the speeding, why don't you try one of those signs that say, speed limit is 25, your speed is, those usually work.
oh, you mean like up at the school? That cost us about $30,000.
Really?
That's a good, yeah. It cost us a lot, right? What was it?
Didn't you guys get?
Oh, you're talking about the ones that you just put there
yeah,
temporarily?
they're temporary, they're battery operated, and you have to take them down and recharge them all the time. So you can do that as a temporary thing, alert. Plus, we also have the trailer that you could put up temporary, for a while. But it's not really a permanent solution.
They lose their impact after a while, if they're in the same place.
2 days.
Yeah, depends. We could try the scarecrow in the old police car.
Resuscitate Annie?
Yeah.
That works in Franklin Township, Peter. There's one by the school there, and it works. That car's always sitting there during the school to driving, when people are getting picked up and stuff. And it works, it makes the school down.
So do you think there's a reason why we haven't tried that down on South Main Street?
What?
What Amicus is suggesting? The
temporary one.
The temporary one.
That doesn't last very long, Tanya, believe me. Within 2 days, people know it, it doesn't. The initial, it's on my street a lot, but the initial, impact of it lasts for about 2 days.
Unless people start getting tickets. They start getting tickets, that impact lasts a little bit longer.
And then the last thing that we had was the Halloween parade. That direct ran with Joe and that went over very well. It was very successful. It was very nice. Kim, Joe, Greg Cuzzolino, Angie Crosby, and the rest of Recreation. They did a lot of work. And
Fire company.
the fire company, the police department, all the service, the township services. It went very well. The prizes that were given out for the costumes and everything else. So it was a bring back for the parade, because we had stopped doing the parade. Well, of course, it snowed the day before.
We did pumpkin.
Yeah. But we did the pumpkin drive. Joe Torriello and Tom Colari, a lot of help there also. So it was a nice event. So just want to mention that about the parade.
Anything else?
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Joe, do you have anything?
No.
Yeah, the only thing I have is, last month we authorized Peter to prepare an ordinance regarding advertising for any open positions we might have. And so I'll hand that over to Peter.
Yeah, I did, in fact, I emailed it to the clerk this afternoon, I don't know. Okay. I don't know if you got it.
Is that good?
Just,
Okay. I could go print it out.
I have a copy here if you want to just make some copies.
Yeah, because I can only print them. I can't send it to the
Okay. Basically one page, but. Apologize for the lateness. I was in Atlantic City all week and didn't get back till Friday afternoon.
I figured.
So what are we doing?
Kim is making copies of the ordinance which Peter prepared. Yeah. It almost matches himself.
Matches Joe's scarf better.
Matching mouth pads.
Mouse. Still being mouse.
You woke me up.
Good day, Leslie, huh?
Yes,
I
very.
was furious.
Extremely.
Also furious.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure there's quite a few people.
Peter?
So it's a very short ordinance. Basically, the purpose is to make sure that whenever we have an open position and we're looking to hire, that we advertise for that position before we go ahead and hire anyone. And that's basically all there is to it. There's always, I don't know how many meetings I've sat in where I've heard, well, technically, we don't have to advertise for that before we fill it. And we pass this ordinance, and technically, we will have to advertise for it, so.
Okay, so we need then,
Anyway, so this would be a first reading by.
Yeah, I was thinking, I meant to ask you whether you wanted to carve out an exception for temporary emergency type of, situation.
what would define a temporary emergency?
Well, someone, where you have a resignation and you've got to have somebody, immediately on an interim basis.
Well, let me ask you a question. I mean, we have our CFO that's resigning effective November 30th. Does that warrant an emergency basis that we would not have to advertise for a
Well, I mean, that
CFO?
could be a situation where you might need somebody on an emergency basis to fill
2
in,
months notice.
pending, well, yeah,
It's
Yeah, she did get 2 months.
emergency, right?
pending, hiring of somebody on a permanent basis.
I understand. I'm a little bit concerned about abuse of that.
Yeah,
Because once you get somebody in place, then it's easy to avoid the process.
well, one thing I didn't put in here was an exact time frame. So I guess theoretically you could shoot out all of this stuff on short notice if it were, somebody you're looking for just temporarily on an emergency basis. But, I meant to discuss that issue with you, and then it slipped my mind when we were talking. But that's one possible, I can add a paragraph if you want to.
You want this in 2 newspapers?
What do you mean, as far as the advertisement?
Yeah, that was only my suggestion that you would put it in.
Very expensive.
Okay. Well, then you could just say,
Ads are very expensive compared to a legal advertisement versus a classified ad. Classified ads.
What
Well,
do the
this
ads,
is not.
Close to
this-
$1,000.
for what?
to advertise a job?
3 times in the day.
It's
It's a lot of money.
ridiculous how much,
It's
it's
$1,000.
incredible how expensive it is, actually.
That's why people are turning more and more to electronic.
I was gonna say, maybe we
website,
say
yeah.
one newspaper and the
I
website,
usually do it in the Express Times.
and that costs $1,000
What's the
for
official
3.
newspaper?
Express Times.
Okay, then why don't we just change this to say, notice there shall be placed in the official newspaper.
Can I suggest something?
Mhm.
The problem with the Express Times being your only publication is for the positions, the statutory positions, you're limiting, the circulation is really only to maybe Warren, Hunterdon,
Well, that's why I put
the
in here.
western part of
Well,
the
in
state.
Pennsylvania,
And
who
there's
now
so few
will
of
not
us
be,
out here.
in Pennsylvania,
People are-
the people
That's why I
get
put in,
hung out.
that's why I put
Can't
in
hire.
these.
It goes to
Pennsylvania.
NewJersey.com.
Did you see the ordinance, Grace?
Yeah, I have it in front of me.
That's why I have the alternative modes of
I think,
attempting to,
yeah. Don't
to-
limit yourself only to your,
It doesn't,
Paper
it's
of
not just for
record.
here. It goes also, it goes down to NewJersey.com. It goes through.
Yeah, it does.
It
When you
goes
put in
through
there,
so does it go in all their papers?
no,
Yes,
well,
Okay,
it goes,
Jan?
yes,
it goes into,
NewJersey.com.
it goes into NewJersey.com, which is
All theirs.
online,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But
In the case where you're filling a statutory position, I would rather see you spend $1,000 and go to the Star Ledger and hit almost the entire state of New Jersey than just hit the western
Well,
part
that's
of
why I
your
say you
state.
would
Because
know.
you can't even hire someone who lives in Pennsylvania if they're not going to move here within a year. So it doesn't make sense to me to only use the express times as your only paper.
Well, that's a decision that could be made on a
Yeah.
case-by-case basis. This is just a minimum,
Right.
okay?
Hey, Jim, when you advertise in the Express Times, they have different regional editions.
Yes,
Can you just advertise, like, for example, just in New Jersey and not
I do the New
Pennsylvania?
Jersey, Pennsylvania edition. I do the New Jersey edition.
And I guess the question this is the first time I'm seeing this, should we also add something that, and I know this talks about the advertisement, but the fact that there should be a defined job description that, especially on the,
Well, you know, you can micromanage this thing as much as you want, but that's, you know, those are the kinds of,
well, I think it's just important though that the job, that we're hiring for a well-defined job versus writing a job description for a particular person.
Well,
That's my point.
I agree with you. I don't think it's necessarily part of this ordinance. I mean, I think you have to establish a criteria for this is the kind of, these are the qualifications that we're looking for in an individual. And then you're going to add, and then you're going to put out an ad that's somehow going to bring that out.
Right.
And then you're going to get qualified and non-qualified applicants. You're going to, you know, interview those that are qualified.
yeah, and of course, if you're putting, you know, you can put more information on the website or in the, you know, electronically than, you know, usually the notice you put in the newspaper because it's so expensive, you're going to put the minimum, just enough to alert people to the fact that there's something out there that they can go for additional information. They can go to the website or wherever and get. You know, I was thinking maybe at the first sentence where it says no township employee shall be hired, maybe you want to put the word permanent there, which would you know, handle the issue that I mentioned earlier.
Where is this?
Right there where it says no township, you know.
So
No
no
permanent.
township employee.
I don't know.
I'll leave that to you. I mean, it's your decision, but I'm just pointing out that, you know, you might have.
I mean, you can hire a temporary employee and have him for a long time.
Well, you can, but most appointments, like if you appoint a statutory official, it's usually for a statutory period of time. You know, so that wouldn't be a temporary appointment.